Hello and welcome to DFS Coach Talk. Today is Wednesday, September 9th, and I am Joe Sarvati, affectionately known as Coach, and I am joined here by Mr. Basketball and Mr. Football combination, Mr. Andrew Hansen. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, yeah. Big, exciting week here at DFS Coach Talk, getting ready for football, but we're still in the heart of NBA that we really have been crushing all throughout this bubble season, and it was your turn tonight for a big night. Congratulations, third place in a big tournament. You took down 2,500 on DraftKings, so that was huge. You got to tell everybody about that lineup, and almost as important, probably more importantly, another cash winning night for our GPP lineup on FanDuel for our members. So winning night for everybody involved.
It was an awesome night, man. And we're back over 80%. We had a bunch of members posting wins on DraftKings and FanDuel across the board. So that's what it's all about. Yeah, the NBA, it was exciting. I mean, I front loaded like I said I would in our podcast yesterday in that first game. And then it's so awesome when we game script and discuss stuff, and then it happens, because that's the reason that I was there. I mean, and hit in that big tournament. All three tournaments I got in on DraftKings, I cashed, including that big third. And really the fact that Mr. Vogel there, Coach Vogel, who I was a little sketchy on, actually did what made the most coaching sense and ran that double at Harden, got the ball out of his hands, and that changed the whole complex of the game. It hurt Houston a ton. And so, I mean, it was a logical thing. Make somebody else beat you, and nobody else could beat you on Houston. So seeing that happen and how that all rolled out was all part of the victory. But it goes to show you, though, I mean, every single guy you roster, it's important. I mean, the Marvin Williams buckets that he got for me were huge. Rondo was just a superstar in that fourth quarter, man. 3 threes, some steals, hit his foul shots.
He looked like the Rondo of old.
He really did, man. And he gets a hand on everything, too. He's unreal. And, it's in these 2-game slates, every point counts, every possession counts. So, you need those guys to step up and finish strong. So I'll tell you, it was a fun night. It was a great sweat. I was in first with, when did I send that in Discord? With about 3 minutes left, I was actually in first, which was 6K. And then I fluctuated down to second, to third, back up to second. Then it looked like for a second there, when things started going Westbrook crazy there at the last minute, that I was going to sink down further, but I held on to third. So it was pretty great. I'm excited that, like I say, more than anything, figuring it out, game scripting, talking it through with you, building that, DraftKings coaches clipboard with our pool of players, and then our highlighted guys. It just helps you look at things more clearly as you go through it. And I'll tell you, I used the process myself, and it worked. I mean, I listened to our podcast again, got that set, understood what I wanted to do, built some preliminary lineups, and I didn't put Giannis in because, as we talked about, I didn't think he was going to play. So, all of that slight preparation helps, because then you don't have to scramble down the wire and make changes that you haven't thought through. And then following the news all day, and jumping in Discord, had some great input from some of our members, sharing, some thoughts too. And then you finalize, that last 30 minutes before lock, and, get those final lineups set. And I'll tell you, it keeps working. So join us, jump in. I mean, there's no better time. We're smoking hot in basketball. We're hoping we get some Dodgers homers at the end of the game here this evening, and keep baseball going. And then can't wait to hear you and Shane dive into football. And that is a matter of 48 hours away or something?
Yeah, 36 hours now, because it'll be Thursday afternoon. We'll have a podcast post previewing the Thursday night season opener, as well as the main slate on Sunday. So make sure that you're subscribed to our channel on YouTube so you get the notification when that posts. And remember, if you do want to join us as a member, you get access to all of our sports, all of our lineups for whatever membership you have. And we've got the fall special going right now. So for the rest of the calendar year, you get all our sports for a nice discount, only $199, discounted off the monthly price. And what you get is you get the FanDuel lineup, GPP, the cash lineup. On DraftKings, you get the coach's clipboard, and you get that for every sport, every day that there's a slate.
And I'll tell you, if you're interested and have some questions, let us know, or we can, we have several members that have offered to be references, to give info, how great it is, being a member. And, we really take it the extra step. I mean, we literally put out a schedule every day. Here's what we're doing, when we're doing it, when the lock is, when we're going to be in Discord, the whole 9 yards. So nobody misses anything. Everybody's up to date. And we just feel like, that's the way to do it. You have to take it, that extra step and really get things cemented. And we're always, 30 minutes generally before we've got everything set, so you can build, adjust, and do whatever you need. So we'd love to have you join us. It is definitely a hot time to be part of the DFS Coach Talk team, and hopefully everybody took down some good stuff that listens to the podcast as well, because we did point out most of the guys that smashed it today. So that was fantastic. Last two things I want to mention, then we'll dive into this 2-game slate, because this is going to be fantastic basketball on Wednesday as well. Andrew and I finished tied for the position in the big tournament, 271st out of 27,000 and something.
Yep.
So, top 1% lineup. And the amazing thing is, and this is the truth, I don't know how it happened, but it did. We had 7 out of 9 different players. So it goes to show you that you can build different lineups and win different ways with different strategies. And here we ended up dead tied. I mean, to the 10th of a point.
Right.
So it was really crazy to see that one. But, and the last point is, you don't have to play a million different things to win. I played 3 events on DraftKings tonight, which is less than I usually play, of course. But I just want to hone in on three specific plays and build it that way. And there you go, $3,000 night. So if I can do it, you certainly can do it. And we would love to have you join us. So, all right, we need to dive into this 2-game slate. Before we do, though, real quickly, I tricked you last time, and so the fast forward guys couldn't get me early, but this time I'll go back to it. Our 2 presenting sponsors are mybookie.ag and tvg.com. MyBookie.ag is the place to go for all of your sports wagering and casino action, and tvg.com is everything horse racing from everywhere in the world. I even check out the Australian races there with some of our members from Australia. And you use the same promo code for either one. You can either go to their websites or just go to dfscoachtalk.com. Both of their links are on there. And the promo code that you need to use, it has not changed and it won't change. It's Coach Talk, all one word, no space. And that will get you up to $1,000 of matched funds in my bookie. And it'll get you a $300 risk-free bet. And it's exactly what it states on TVG. So dive into those guys. Also, if you're watching this, our man Brett reminded me today, you want to mash that like button and hit that thumbs up. Smash it, mash it, whatever you got to do, because we need that. Brett is really leading the charge, and Dawson as well on YouTube to grow our listenership and viewership and everything else. So that's the key, to get in the algorithm and improve up that number. We need to get the thumbs up, the likes, and then also subscribe. That's massive. The more subscribers, the better. And the last thing, there's a little alarm bell on the right side of the screen. If you're watching us now, hit that, so that will give you an alert when our podcast posts. So I promised I'd mention that on the way in and on the way out, because that is really important for us to continue to grow. And we do the 7-day-a-week podcast in NBA in front of the paywall, and we basically give you 90% of the information. I mean, we will save some things or change some things at the end just because it dictates that, not because we're trying to hide anything. It's just that's the way things play out. But we try to share as much as we can for our listeners that listen every day, and we want everybody to win. And then to go that extra step for any of those late changes or scratches or anything that goes on, that's when you got to jump in Discord, because with baseball especially, I mean, with weather and everything that goes on, it just immediately, completely flips the slate. So, all right, no further ado, we need to get into this. We've got 2 games. We only have 2 pieces of injury news, Andrew. One of them is Serge Ibaka. He is listed as questionable 50-50 game time decision with his twisted left ankle. So that is important. It would change definitely some rotation there. Well, we can talk through that when we get to the game, but definitely want to watch that closely. And the Joker has already been ruled in, which is really weird. Why would he even be on this report if he's already ruled in, way before the game like this? But obviously his wrist wasn't bothering him. He didn't even have any tape or anything on it. I mean, I don't know what the heck, his injury was, but it sure didn't look hurt to me. So we expect him to get full minutes and full run. All right, mybookie.ag, first game on the slate. We've got the updated lines, and it is the Toronto Raptors and the Boston Celtics. And this line has shrunk every single game, and it's down again by 2 more points. It's Boston -3, and the over-under's all the way down to 210, which is significant because the second game it's 220.5. So we're looking at a double-digit difference. Say that 3 times quickly.
Right.
And, it's going to have a big effect. So I'm going to let you dissect this game because I know how red you are still about the way the Raptors laid an egg that last game. So the question is, are you going to have a quick forgetfulness of that game and just move on to DFS, new day, new slate, or is that lingering a little bit still?
No, I'm going to do my best to move on. Not let the emotions get into it, because that was frustrating. Our GPP lineup cashed for our members, but it had Lowry and Siakam in it. And so it could have absolutely smashed if Toronto had kept it close. So, this is game 6. This is it. No more duds allowed here. So
elimination game.
This is an elimination game. Toronto's going to go all out. I expect it to be a closer game. I can't see them getting blown out again. I do think Boston's a better team. I think Boston will win the series, but I got to figure Toronto will have a better performance here. Their guys, they were tired, as you discussed. That was a big point for you in playing Powell, and it showed that they just played that poorly. But they got all this rest now, because They didn't play. They played very, very light minutes. So now everybody's going to be ready to play 40 minutes again. So I'll have some exposure to this game, and I just made a note that I am going to make sure I stack this game. And that's the thing we got to overcome is, the recency bias of that blowout. And just remember that if this game stays close, we're going to get Toronto guys likely around 40 minutes or more. And, with the way that the second game could go, there's no guarantee that that's not only high scoring, but that you get several guys who just, have huge games that you have to have exposure to. There's a chance that if you stack this one, it stays close, and the second one, is sort of balanced because there's so many guys for the Clippers who contribute. Denver, maybe Jokic doesn't smash again and get over 60 fantasy points. So that's why I made that note, and so I've been tinkering with the game stack here. On the Boston side, I do like the combo of Smart and Jaylen Brown again, just because they're cheaper. Worked out well last time. Smart kind of turned the corner, played well.
Yeah.
Jaylen Brown really rebounded and played much better. So I like those guys. Tice is still in play for me. And on the Toronto side, Lowry, Van Vliet, and Siakam, they're all in play for me, especially on DraftKings. Lowry's more expensive once again on FanDuel. He's 8,900, only
Yeah.
8,200 on DraftKings. And then you mentioned Ibaka. I mean, that is an absolutely huge piece of news. He's been
Huge.
getting big minutes. He's been playing great. If he doesn't play, that's a gaping hole. And I think Chris Boucher comes right into play. And he's minimum price on DraftKings. He's 3,000. He's going to be extremely high owned if Ibaka is ruled out ahead of time. And I'm certainly going to build some lineups with him to take advantage of that.
Well, I have the opposite take on that particular thing, which is
Okay.
good because we have to dig into these and see what's going to play out. I'm you know I've been on Ibaka. I'm hoping he doesn't play, and here's why. I think that the general public is going to have the exact same take as you do, and it's logical. I mean, he's the backup center. He's athletic. He can put up numbers. I don't. If Ibaka sits, I don't think Boucher hardly sees the floor. I'll explain why.
Okay.
He's not ready. He's raw. He turns it over. Nurse is not going to trust him in an elimination game. So what I think will happen, and I feel like 85% sure this is going to happen. That's how confident I am in it. So I hope he sits because what I think happens is they play small. They use Rondé Hollis Jefferson. They use the guys that have been in the league to play the minutes inside and play Siakam some at center and go through that whole deal. And I don't think Boucher hardly sees the floor. So I agree with you. I think Ibaka's ruled out. You're going to see Boucher's ownership through the roof. And I think it's just a terrible trap that would be wonderful advantage for me and for those that use my strategy here to build a lineup. So that's the big key for me. If Ibaka plays, then all that's out the window. But the other point I want to make where I agree with you 100% is I think the second game will be more owned than the first game because it's double digits higher on the over-under, and there are some big names in that game. But I like this game better. I'm going to have more exposure to this game. I don't believe for a second that Toronto will come out flat in this game. I really don't. Rudy T said, never question the heart of a champion. They are the champs, and they're not going to go out without a fight, especially when they have just, as you say, balls to the wall guys like Lowry and Van Vliet, and these guys will run through the wall. Now, I do have one new take though, and this is just from watching. I think Pascal Siakam is soft. I don't think he's a blood and guts player. He can hit big shots. I get it. But he's a really nice guy. Every time, and it's not that this is a bad thing, but every time he knocks somebody down, he helps them up. He makes sure they're okay. He's calm. You never see him like really pumping fists and he gets bumped out of the way a lot. And I just don't see that extra punch with him. So I've lost some of my appeal, and I've seen it multiple games, and it really stood out in this last game. If anybody on the floor quit, it was him in that game, and he was not working hard. So I'm going Lowry and Van Vliet like I've done all along, except for the last game. I'll accept the pricing. It's difficult to swallow. And then depending on the Ibaka news, I'll finish out who I want to put in there. But I'm going to save my money on the Siakam play, go with the backcourt, and then determine who to play in that big role. If Ibaka is going to play, even though he's not 100%, I have no problem rolling him out there. I mean, his price is still fair, and I think he can produce in the time frame that he's out there. So, definitely on that side, going that direction. On the Boston side, again, if we're game scripting to be close, you have to look at some of these guys that have been consistently tough. Jaylen Brown at 7,600, a little pricier than he was, is, going to get minutes. And how about that one dunk he had? Oh my God, he just exploded. Yep. I didn't think it was possible it was almost from a standstill, and he just tomahawked it. Really impressed with him. Marcus Smart, you can't go wrong. He's going to get you steals and rebounds and just all kinds of different stuff. Like I say, Ibaka at 5,500 is just a no-brainer play for me if he does play. And then, on the Boston side, the other, if you look at Tatum, I understand it and I like him, but 9,300 on DraftKings and 9,400 on FanDuel, it just straps you of the, last few guys in. So I may not go to Tatum. I will go to a combination of two of the Boston guys. Also considering Kemba for the first time a little bit, but not sure. So right now I'm leaning towards Brown and Smart and Tice if the the information doesn't come out wacky with the Ibaka stuff that would affect things a little bit. Let me check. Tice is still 5,400, gets minutes, gets some blocks, and he makes things work. So very well could have a good 5 players out of this game and feel comfortable with it. Don't particularly want to go like I did today, 7 in the first game and 2 in the second, right, and then have to hang on like the cat hanging onto the drapes towards the end. But I'd like to have a little more exposure in the second game. But anyway, I say that in jokingly, though. Don't ever let when the game is or anything affect who you're playing. You play. I always tell people in everything when they're making their DFS lineup, look at the games. Don't look at the times they're playing. Don't look at which ones are on TV. This is for baseball and different things like that. You don't want to do any of those things because it will subconsciously tweak you from moving. Play the guys that you think that you game script and think are going to be the best scorers and get it done, and then let everything else fall into place. So
excellent.
There you go.
Yeah, nice breakdown. I like your point about Siakam. He definitely doesn't have that killer instinct like Lowry, for example, on the same side. But I do need to respond about my boy, Mr. Chris Boucher here for just a minute. And I see what you're saying about Nurse wanting to trust the veteran. I mean, Rondé Hollis-Jefferson certainly is that guy. He's a solid guy. You're not really scared that he's going to go out there and mess things up for you. But Boucher has so much more talent, and he's shown it this year. He's shown it in the bubble. He hasn't been playing much because of Ibaka, but look what he did just earlier in August in the bubble. He had a game against Milwaukee, 29 minutes, 52 fantasy points. Okay, he had 25 points, 11 boards, 2 assists, 2 blocks, 2 steals. Next time out against Philly, 22 minutes, 39 fantasy points, 19 points, 9 rebounds, and 4 blocks. He just has so much talent, and Nick Nurse wants to win. And I don't think, he can be a game changer off the bench with those blocks, those threes. Hollis-Jefferson is just sort of a boring veteran. Like, he can run the court, he can get some rebounds, he can make some buckets in the paint, but he's not a game changer. And I think Toronto needs that. And I think Boucher will get the chance if Ibaka's out.
I couldn't disagree more. I think the game changer he'd be is to blow the game for him. I really do. He's a turnover waiting to happen. He has no basketball IQ. He hasn't even been playing the game that long. He's raw, and I agree with you. He is a future really good player in this league, and he needs another year and a half seasoning, and I think he'll eventually be a starter. But he's not close to that. And in an elimination game, I'm telling you right now, as sure as I'm sitting here, no way Nurse is going to trust him in that situation. Those stats in the bubble are completely non-sequential to me. They don't mean a thing because those games didn't mean a thing. They were locked into the 2 seed. He got extra run. The other teams were playing their backups. You know what? When I had played the NBA Summer League, he was the first guy I put in. That's the kind of guy you want in games that don't matter because their athleticism is going to burst over everybody else. He's going to have tip dunks, blocks, pinning the ball, all that stuff. But when it comes to we need this possession to score, and you're backing somebody down, and this is a key. He's just not ready for that, and I don't think Nurse would put him in that situation. So we'll see. If Ibaka plays, we won't know. If so, then that'll be a big shift. And again, we finished tied in that big tournament today. So maybe you build a lineup with me, with a Hollis. And I'm not saying I'm going to play Hollis Jefferson. I just think that he'll get 20 minutes, possibly somewhere in there. I think Siakam will move to center. They'll play smaller. They'll play the 3 guards with Van Vliet and Lowry and Powell. They'll do stuff like that as well. But we'll see. But this is why we're talking it through.
Yeah, that could happen. I could see Siakam playing more of the 5, and they go small, and Powell gets more minutes. That could certainly happen. I'm not saying that I think for sure that Boucher is going to get 20 minutes.
There's no guarantee.
There's no guarantee on that. But I am saying that if one of those 2 guys plays, I think Boucher will get a chance, and I would much rather play him because he's got much better upside.
All right, man. We're going to see how it rolls out. But that's good stuff to have the listeners think about. And, let's see what that news is. Like I say, as much as I like Ibaka and I want to roster him, I'm hoping he sits because I think the combination could help us. So, all right. Excellent. Great stuff. Let's go to game 2. MyBookie.ag game 2. It is 9 p.m. Eastern game. The Denver Nuggets are an 8-point dog to the LA Clippers. And like I say, the 220.5 over under is 10.5 points higher than the first game. So the $1 million question here, did Jokic do enough to make your team on this slate?
Yeah, he'll make some of my teams.
Summer is here, and sports are finally back, which can only mean one thing. It's time to get back, relax, and make some cash. Everyone has to start somewhere, which is why you want to get off on the right foot by choosing an established book like MyBookie.ag. With all the major sports seasons just around the corner, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. Dynamic betting lines and a simple-to-use platform make the process easier than it's ever been. Create your account in just a few easy steps. Deposit and begin placing your bets. Sign up now using promo code COACHTALK to get your deposit matched 100% all the way up to $1,000. Plus an extra $25 free play. That's promo code COACHTALK. Use it to score yourself an extra piece of the pie. With MyBookie, you bet, you win, and most importantly, when you win, you get paid.
On FanDuel, it's an interesting situation again with the centers. He's 9.9. Side note, Chris Boucher can only be center eligible on FanDuel. So he's the type of GPP guy you could pay down for and make a much different build than if you use Jokic. On DraftKings, Boucher, you can move around power forward or center eligible. But yeah, Jokic is in play for me. He's certainly the guy to play or not play with Denver. The Clippers continue to do a very good job against Murray. Again, in a GPP, you could pair Murray with Jokic and hope that Murray really busts out and gets hot here. Denver down 2-1. They really need this one if they want to have a chance at the series. So maybe he steps up to the challenge. Gary Harris, man, what a difference he made on the last slate with those 4 steals. He really paid off value. So he's got his legs under him. He's scoring a little bit. He's that defensive factor that Denver needed.
No doubt.
So he's in play. Porter, he stepped up as we predicted. He was in our GPP lineup. He went 18 and 10. He had 40 fantasy points on DraftKings in only 23 minutes.
That's incredible.
And I'm really interested in Porter again. I think Malone really needs to play him more.
Yeah.
Grant played 42 minutes again. I know Denver needs his defense, but I don't think he should have been in there down the stretch. He took 2 big shots and missed, and that crushed Denver. He had that little 10-foot floater in the lane that he missed. Then he
Wide
comes
open
down and
three.
misses a left corner three, and that was it. And if Porter's in there, maybe he knocks those down, and they may actually win that game. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think Malone's going to do that again. I think if it's close, Porter gets more of an opportunity. He's proven it. He's just much more of a scorer than Grant, so he needs to be out there. So I'm not going to be quite as much on Grant. Definitely not a Millsap with this slate. The way things are shaking out with price. On the Clippers side, Kawhi still a little bit too expensive for me. I will continue to get some exposure to Paul George with the $1,800 savings on DraftKings, $2,400 savings on FanDuel. Beverly is in play for me on DraftKings. He's only 3.6, and he played just over 20 minutes last game. So that's finally at that somewhat comfortable place for a guy that's only 3.6 who can do as much as he can. And then that great combo off the bench, Lou Williams and Montrezl Harrell, they're in play for me as well. Lou came down a little bit on DraftKings actually, and Harrell's still affordable, much more so on DraftKings. So that's my take on this game. I think there's a good chance it's competitive again. But again, it's just the common theme for me with these Clippers. There's so many guys that are involved. As much as I think that they're likely to win and that they can put up a bunch of points, that doesn't mean I want to invest in 4 of their guys. But what are your thoughts on game 2?
I mean, it is a must-win for Denver. They have to look at it that way. It's just they're just not as good as the Clippers. It's that simple. So, the question is, does the game stay close the whole way? Even if it's 15, 18 points at some point, they're not going to give up. I mean, they're going to put their guys in and try to make a run. I mean, you don't want to go down 3-1. So I'm not, worried about game scripting any blowouts in either one of these games. So I'm going to take that off the table, which, is a big part sometimes of what we're looking at. So I think, I can't spend 10-6 on Kawhi. If you want to buy up for those guys, and I saw a bunch of lineups today. The reason that I did so well was I just didn't have those crap guys in the last 2 spots. I didn't have the 2 highest price guys. I didn't have LeBron. Didn't have Harden, but I didn't have to plug in somebody that stinks. And there's so many guys that we're all tempted to put in there to make, so we can buy up on guys. But I think it's better for me, I'm going to avoid Kawhi and the Joker, even though I think they're both awesome. I just don't want to spend that money. I'd rather have a little bit more of a medium to upper medium build as a whole. So, that takes those 2 out of play for me. I do think there's some great value still here. I mean, I know Jeremy Grant played lousy, but the dude's $5,000 and $5,100 on DraftKings. So if he's going to get 40 minutes, or for whatever reason Malone thinks he needs to be in there, even if Porter eats into his minutes a little bit, at that price, you give me a guy out there 38 minutes that can jump out of the building like he can, things can happen. Block shots, rebounds. It's just, opportunity kind of situation there. So, I still like Grant a lot. I think your point with Gary Harris is good. He is super steals dependent, though, because he's a defensive player. Yep. I don't know how many shots he's going to hit, but, I can see him being in our clipboard, but not as a key play because he is risky, more of a GPP play. For me, I think the key guys in this game that can make a difference are some of those medium price guys. I really do. Lou Williams and Montrezl Harrell, I've been going to that tank a lot, on and off. And I'll tell you, Zubac's playing a lot better too. Zubac is playing much better. He had some really trash fouls called on him that I did not think were fouls last game. So I'm sort of leaning more Zubac than Harrell right now if I went there. But they're just those guys are all priced low enough, 4,800, 4,400, that you can roll some of them out there. I get your Pat Bev point, and I've seen him put 40 fantasy points up, in a 28-minute run. But oh, you know me, when I think that there's going to be splitting of time where you're going to have Reggie Jackson in there, then they're going to have Paul George run the point for some shifts, and it just concerns me. I just don't want, with the value that's available here, to roster a guy that may only get 16 minutes or 18 minutes, and 10 DFS points. So, I don't think he's a terrible play, but I don't know if you really have to go there with some of the other value. So, to me, again, I'll have a little more exposure in that first game. And in this game, I'm going to be looking for those mid-level builds. The guy that I want to put in, though, is Jamal Murray. He's my key to this game. That's the guy I'm going to fit into my builds. And he's not crazy priced. I mean, 8,600, I think, is worth it for him. He's 700, 800 less than Tatum. He's 1,300 less than the Joker. And so, that's the guy I want to try to fit in with my Van Vliet and Lowry play. So if I can have those three as my three base guards, get some value, I'm going to end up buying down at the center spot like I've done in the entire playoffs. That's where the value is. Whether you go whoever, on what site with Tice or Zubats or, there's just a lot of options to buy down at center and survive when you're really, I think, going to need these guards. Because Murray, obviously, he's proven it, can drop, 40 real points in a game, if he gets loose a little bit on the Clippers. So that's going to be my strategy here. Murray and some of those medium price guys that I don't think, for some reason, Lou Will went down. Grant's not gone up. And, some of the bigs, I think they're just splitting salary on these guys. And I think it gives you some chance at value.
Yeah, well said. Should be another fun slate. And hopefully you all appreciate the intensity that we go at these slates and dig in on the price. Again, here we are about 17 hours ahead of the lock. So it's, we just have a lot of fun with it. We're passionate about it. And we'd love for you to interact with us, whether that's giving your thoughts on Boucher versus RHJ or
No. Wait a minute. I'd never in the RHJ corner. I'm just totally against Boucher.
Okay.
So just so that's clear.
So the point was just to invite you to comment on
Yes.
some of these things that we get into, on Twitter,
Exactly.
and certainly in Discord. We do it with our members. We may have to check out to some of our Canadian members on this one again, the Raptors insiders, and see what their thoughts are. But we have a lot of fun with it. So again, we'd love to have you jump in with us as members. You can do that at dfscoachtalk.com.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you, as funny as the Powell thing was the other night, we had more responses to that on Twitter than YouTube than anything else we've ever put out there. So people do to either, pile on or give you the plaudits, if you will. So, no, I'm with you, man. So jump in, DFS Coach Talk. We want to thank our two sponsors, mybookie.ag and tvg.com. Check them out on our website, dfscoachtalk.com, and sign up for both of them with the promo code Coach Talk, no space, one word. Also, on Twitter, we post things all the time at DFS Coach Talk. You can find all of us there. I'm at Joe Sarvadi, JoeSarvadi. Andrew is at Language Olympic, and Mr. Shane, who's all footballed out. I saw him last night on one of the things. He had the black under his eyes. That's how fired up he is.
That's right.
So he is at DET Sports Shane. So YouTube, as you know, Brett saying it, mash that button, like us, give us the thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that little alarm button in the right side. We really, really appreciate that. Also, if you're listening to the audio version of us, for some reason today, everything went out in Red Circle as it normally does, and we went to all of the outlets, but Spotify didn't load it. So we checked on that. We'll make sure that gets up there today. But you can check us out anywhere podcasts are heard: iTunes, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Stitcher, Podbean. We're everywhere. So check us out there. You can also put a reminder there. Also, iTunes and Spotify, give us a quick review, a thumbs up. We have a monthly drawing for a free month membership that we pull out of iTunes. And we're also going to pull it out of Spotify. I'll announce that today. So it's September 9th for the month of September. Anybody that puts a positive review on Spotify or a 5 stars and positive review on iTunes, they'll all be entered in that 1 month free membership draw that we do with the randomizer at the end of the month, and we'll announce it on the show. So wanted to mention that for sure. And then our charity of choice here, mambaon3.org, MAMBAONTHREE.org. It is an absolutely wonderful charity set up by the Bryant family. All right, man, I think, we gave a lot of people stuff to chew on. Some decisions have to be made. We need the Ibaka news, and we're feeling both of these games are going to be somewhat close. So, it gives us a truer sense of DFS. So I think this could be a really awesome slate.
I'm excited about it. Yep. Let's go back to back, have another winning night for our members. And again, make sure you check out our NFL podcast on Thursday to get ready for the season opener.
Absolutely. And try to get Shane at least take that helmet off for the podcast. You can't see him with that big grill in there, right, and all the stuff. But anyway, fantastic. And I'll tell you, I want to thank everybody, especially you, Andrew. I mean, talking this through, discussing it, strategizing, looking at all these angles gets the wheels turning. I mean, I don't take down $3,000 tonight without all of that information. And then our listeners too, thank you, because we had some comments come in on Twitter and on YouTube, and then we had a bunch of discussion in Discord. All of that counts, and all of that adds to taking stuff down. So I couldn't have done it without everybody's input. And that's being part of the DFS Coach Talk community. That's what it gives you. It gives you all of those outlets to help you build and win. So we win as a team or lose as a team. And right now we're winning at 80% plus. So I think we'll take that all the way to the bank.
Yes, we will.
All right. Any final words, sir?
Yeah, that was well said. We'll end it on that.
All right, man. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Get some rest tonight. Get ready for another huge day tomorrow. Tomorrow's doubleheader, Wednesday. We've got Andrew and I back-to-back, NBA and PGA. I'm all fired because I made money on huge money PGA this weekend. Yep. So we got to try to follow that up. And then it's weird with PGA. The U.S. Open's like in 2 or 3 weeks, isn't it? Yeah. It's like all kinds of
September,
crazy stuff with schedules. So, definitely check us out there too as well. So, all right, man, that is it. Let's get after it again tomorrow and crush some more stuff for sure. We appreciate all of you and for listening and the comments and everything as we continue to grow our entire community. So we appreciate that. So definitely join in tomorrow. Catch us both podcasts, and we will definitely look to crush it in PGA and NBA and MLB DFS.